Good morning, everybody. As we go to the chitas of the day, today's Wednesday, the fourth reading of the Parsha of Vayera. Parsha we're holding in the book of Exodus, chapter 7, verse number 8. And God said to Moses and Aaron, saying, when you're gonna speak, when Pharaoh speaks to you, saying, Tanu lachem moifes, give a sign. We were looking for a miracle. Take your stick, and throw it before the Pharaoh. And it'll turn into a serpent. So Rasha's a moifes is a sign to make known, make a sign to make known that there are powers in the one who is sending you. The sanin, what's a sanin? A sanin is a nachash, a snake. Verse number 10. So Moshe and Aaron came to the Pharaoh. And they did exactly what they were told. Hashem, like God commanded. Aaron is Mateo, and Aaron threw his stick. Before the Pharaoh. Before his servants. And it turned into a serpent. Verse 11. Pare also called his wise men, and to the magicians. And the magicians did exactly what they said. What they turned their sticks into snakes. So Rashi says, meaning with their incarnations, with the words, is similar to the rest of the scriptures. So they became like magic spells. They had in Egypt, they were very big into magic. And they had the capability of doing magic. And each of these magicians threw their stick, and it turned into serpents. But then what happened? And then Aaron's staff swallowed their staffs. So after it became a staff, Aaron swallowed all their staffs. But irrelevant, Pharaoh's heart became hard. He said, okay, you're a bigger magician than them. And he didn't listen. Like God said. I'm going to make the Pharaoh's heart hard. Because he will not, holding him back from sending the people. Kabed, she says, Kabed is in Aramaic is yakir is heavy. Verse 15. Go to Pharaoh in the morning. Pharaoh goes out in the morning, he goes out to the water. It's after Lekrase and stand opposite him. Al Svasa in the bank of the Nile. And the staff they turned into a serpent, take in your hand. So Rashi's he goes out to the water, he relieves himself in the Nile. For he has defied himself as they not need him. So he go early in the morning in secret to relieve himself, that people should think he's like a god. He doesn't need to relieve himself. So he would go into the Nile and do. He was like going into the river. But meanwhile, he would relieve himself. So he made himself into a god. So you go and meet him there on the Nile. And you shall tell him, Elohim, the God of the Jews, sent me to you. Lamer saying, Shlach Asami, send my nation. Yavduni, and they can serve me. Midbar in the desert. And behold, until now you have not listened. So Rashi says, At koi, the meaning is until now. And the Medrash interprets it, until you hear from me announce the plague of the firstborn, which is introduced with the word koi. So Rashi says, the Medrash says, why is it at koi? Koi amar Hashem, b'chatzos halayla. So when you're going to hear the word koi, then you're going to send it. You're going to listen. You're going to listen. It's going to take 10 plagues for you to listen. With this you will know. Kani Hashem. I'm going to take my stick. I'm going to hit the water. In the Nile. And the water is going to turn into blood. Why was the first plague in the Nile, in the water of the Nile? Since there's no rainfall in Egypt, but the Nile ascends on the waters of land, so the Egyptian worshipped the Nile. He therefore, first thing he did was smote the Nile, and afterwards, the first Makkah was in the Nile, and then later, slowly but surely, in the rest of Egypt. And the fish that's going to be in the Nile, Thomas will all die. And the Nile will become putrid. And the Egyptians will be weary in their efforts to drink water from the Nile. So the Egyptians will become weary trying to seek a remedy. Everybody's going to try to seek a remedy. How do we get the Nile to turn from blood back to water? God said to Moshe, tell Aaron, take your stick. When put your hand, put it over the waters of Egypt. On the rivers, on the canals, on the ponds, and all the bodies of water. And they're all going to turn to blood. There's going to be blood in the entire Egypt, whether it's in the wood or in the stone. So tell Aaron, why did Moshe Rabbeinu do the first plague? Because the Nile protected Moshe when he was cast into it. It is therefore not to be hit by him, neither with blood nor with frogs. So that's why you see the first 2 plagues. Moshe Rabbeinu did not do it. It was Aaron, because Moshe, you don't spit in the bowl that fed you. So you don't. Moshe Rabbeinu was saved through the Nile, and therefore he was not the one who punished the Egyptians through the Nile. Now they say him, these are rivers that flow like our rivers. These are man-made pools and ditches. And the river banks into the fields. When the waters of the Nile increases, the Nile rises to the canals. Like we have in Boca, a lot of canals. So these are man-made canals that connect to the Everglades. But these are man-made canals, and they irrigate the fields. Agameim, waters are not spring from beneath the ground and does not flow to all the other places, but standing, like what you have over here also, you have these pools of water. And where water that stands, water comes together. It's called ponds in Old French. Even in the bathhouses, in the bathtubs of the houses, or even in the water, in the wooden vessels or stone vessels. Every vessel that had water, wherever there was water, it turned to blood. So not only in the Nile, but every place in Egypt, in entire Egypt, all the water turned into blood, whether either it was in their own buckets and in their own cisterns of water, everything turned to blood. And I did what God commanded. They lifted the stick, and he hit the water, which is in the Nile. In front of Pharaoh, in front of his servants. And the Nile turned into blood. And all the fish that was in the Nile died. And the Egyptian could not drink from the Nile. There was blood throughout the entire Egypt. Verse 22, the Egyptian witchcrafters did the same thing. And the heart of Pharaoh was strengthened. He said, this is another act of witchcraft, which God told them already. Nash says with the secret right, Balateim, they uttered silently in secret. Balateim means the acts of demons. Balateim is the acts of magic. So the Eibishter gives the power of magic in such situation, so that they can create these crazy situations. The Pharaoh's heart was steadfast, saying, "You are doing this through sorcery. You're bringing straw to Ephraim, a city that was full of straw. So you're bringing magic to a country that has a lot of magic. Like, we are already used to this magic. We have our own magicians. So what's the big deal? You bring me more magic." Safari went out and he went home. And he said, this is nothing. So neither the sign of the staff, nor the turning into blood, Pharaoh didn't care. Problem was that usually with these kind of magicians, after a couple of minutes, it turns back to water. But the problem over here, this thing did not stop. And the whole Egypt dug around the Nile to drink water. They could not drink water. In full 7 days passed. Every plague was 7 days. Literally 7 days were filled. Since the word Vayimali in singular, Rashi explains the number of 7 days that the Nile did not return to Jerusalem was filled. The plague that would be affect a quarter of a month, and for 3/4 of a month, he would exhort and warn them. So every plague took a month. 3 weeks of warning the Pharaoh, and 1 week of the plague. Now you know how long this whole situation took, 10 months. The 10 plagues happened in 1 year. 10 months. God said to Moshe, Baal Pari, come to Pharaoh, V'maitilov. Koya Mar Hashem. This is what the Eibishter says. Shlach Asami, send my people. V'yavduni. Verse 27, if you refuse to let them go, I'm going to bring about the second plague, which is the plague of frogs. Rashi says, which means you refuse. Nagev means to smite. Similar to every expression of Magefa, plague. A plague means to strike. The Eibishter strikes with a plague. I'm going to bring down a plague, a striking. V'shadat, verse 28, V'shadat hayard tzvadim. And the Nile would swarm with frogs. V'alu ba beisecha, they'll come up in your houses, b'chadar mishavecha. They'll come into your bedrooms, on your beds, u'beis avadech, in the house of your servants, Ubamecha, in every part of your nation. B'tanarecha, they'll jump even into the husbands. Mashatecha, you need even those. So va'alu, the tzvaidim will come out of the Nile. The Beisecha, first they'll go into your house, and afterwards in the house of the servants. He, Pharaoh, introduced the plan first as written. He said to his people, and with him, the retribution started. So the God always started everything with the Pharaoh. So even the first plague, first the Nile became blood and the rest of Egypt. First, the palace became full of frogs, and then the rest of Egypt. And in you and in your nation, and the entire servants, yalo atzvadim. Atzvadim, these frogs will ascend. The frogs, Rasha, would go into the intestines and croak. The frog will jump into their throats, and they'll start to live in their stomachs, the stomachs of the people. So God said to Moshe, tell Aaron, take your hand, stretch out the stick with your hand on the others, over the rivers and over the canals, and over the ponds, and bring up the frogs over Egypt. Verse number 2, and Aaron stretched out his hand, in the waters of Egypt, and the frogs came up. And totally covered the land of Egypt. So Rashi says over here, it says, and the frog came up. It doesn't say the frogs, it's singular. So Rashi says, there was one frog. Literally, and a frog came up. It was one frog, and the Egyptians were hitting the frog. And it split into swarms upon swarms of frogs. This is its medrashic interpretation. For simple meaning, it can be said that the swarming of frogs is referred to as singular. And likewise, the lice, or talakinam, is also singular, the swarming. So you can say it two ways you can understand the verse. You can understand the verse that one frog came up. And for that one frog came millions upon millions of frogs. Or it means millions of frogs, and it says it in a singular way. Verse 3, and then these people, the magicians did the same, with their secret rites. And they brought the tzvaidim on the land of Egypt. Summoned Moshe Nanav. He said, go and pray to God, many, and get rid of these frogs. Don't forget, the frogs were there for 7 days. And from my nation. And I'm going to send the people, and they'll sacrifice to God. Boast of my superiority over me. For when shall I entreat for you? For you and your servants, to destroy the frogs, from you and for your houses. They'll remain only in the Nile. So now she says, boast of your superiority over me. Similar to shall the axe boast over the one who who's it, who chops it. It praises itself, saying, I am greater than you. Your praise, meaning Moshe Rabbeinu says to Pharaoh, you praise yourself by acting cleverly and asking a difficult thing and saying that I will be unable to do it. Like, because all those magicians couldn't get rid of it. They brought more frogs. That's all they can do is to bring. But to get rid of it, they couldn't get rid of it. But I have the Eibishter with me, so I can get rid of it. L'masei atala. That which I'll entreat for you today regarding the extinction of the frogs. Tell me, when do you wish them to be exterminated? And you will see whether I fulfill my words for the time you set for me. If you stated, if you l'masei ate, it would mean, when shall I pray? Now that it says l'masei, and thus it means today I will pray for you, that the frogs will experiment at the time that you set for me. Tell me on which day do you want it to happen? Give me exactly the time. Torah uses 3 words, ate, I will entreat, tiru, entreat, and I will entreat all the concept of because every expression of ate means to pray very much. So it's a concept. He said, when should I pray for you? When should it happen? So he said, pray for tomorrow. So he said, exactly, okay. You said for tomorrow, it'll exactly happen tomorrow. The manteda. So you'll know, ki ein k'Hashem Elokeinu. So you'll know that there's none like the Lord your God. And if you said tomorrow, it'll happen tomorrow. Rashi says, pray today that they should exterminate it tomorrow. And that's exactly what happened, as we conclude exactly right now, the Chumash of the day. So we travel already through the first 2 plagues today. We are holding in chapter 13 of Tanya. Alter Rebbe is talking about the concept of a Beini. As the Beini, even though he has total control, but he still has an evil inclination. And once you still have an evil inclination, there's always a potential of sin. So that's what he says. So much as the evil in the left part of the Beini's heart is at his native strength, it never changed. It didn't get any weaker. And it has all the cravings of the pleasures of this world. And it neither is so minute as to be nullified before the good. Not only is it not nullified by the Beinoni, it hasn't even been moved from its place, still standing in its place. It's like the judge, as we mentioned before, who never wants to give in. He always has to say, even though he always loses, because there's always 2 against 1, he's adamant. That's why Chassidus tells us we're all like the Pharaoh. We don't like to give in, even though we're proven wrong, and God overpowers me, but I still don't budge. I don't budge. I give in, but I don't budge. The only thing is that he doesn't have the power to diffuse throughout the limbs of the body because the godly soul overpowers it. But that doesn't mean that it's gone anywhere. It's right there and it never gives up. And since it never gives up and it never moves and it never diminishes itself, it's always ready to fight. The only reason why the animalistic soul doesn't win is with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The only reason that the animalistic soul doesn't win is because Baruch Hashem, God, gives the godly soul strength. Hashem and God gives the godly soul strength. And it gives a light to the godly soul to be a winner. God stands, as I said before, to the right hand of the poor man. The godly soul is a poor man. See, the godly soul needs to have help from God. The animalistic soul, he's ready. He doesn't need anybody to help him. He's fully powerful. As we can see, I don't need any help with my ego. I'm Baruch Hashem well capable. I don't need anybody to help me with my own ego. Oh, when it comes to my spiritual side of me, I need all the help. I need everybody to help me. But my ego is strong and well. Male nefesh kiss. Now you understand why it says kirasha. It says even if the whole world says you are righteous, you should remember. This is going back to the first chapter in Tanya. After that, about that question, it says the Mishnah says if the whole world says you're a tzaddik, you should be like a rasha. After that, it says, what do you mean? Why should anybody think himself like a rasha? He'll be depressed. He'll be unhappy. You have to serve God with joy. Remember that question all the way in the first chapter of Tanya. Here, the Alter Rebbe answered it. It doesn't say you should be a rasha. It just says in your eyes should be like a rasha. Kirasha. There's a chaf there. Kirasha. K'mayim and Azal. I feel the Alter Rebbe is reminding you the statement of the sages. Even if the whole world says you're a tzaddik, you should be in your eyes kirasha, like a rasha. Like rasha mamish, not a rasha. The meaning is everybody should, because most people are not tzaddikim. Most people are beinoni, and therefore every person in their eyes should realize they can be a rasha, even though they're a beinoni and they haven't done a sin. But they have the potential. Don't think you're so great. The only reason why you're winning the war is because God's helping you. So don't be such a kanake. You should always realize if God wouldn't help you, boom, you're going to become a rasha. That's one of the reasons why you never judge another person. The only reason why you're not sinning, the only reason why I'm not sinning like other person is because Baruch Hashem, the Eibishter gave me certain tools not to overcome myself. But if God forbid, take away those tools, bingo, I would sin like anybody, like him too. A person should always consider himself that he can be a beinoni. And he should never believe people say, praise him, wow, what a tzaddik. Wow, what a great guy you are. You're such a tzaddik. Look at the guy. Imagine a guy never sinned. Everybody can say he's a tzaddik. Might get to his head. He might think, well, if everybody's saying I'm a tzaddik, I'm sabi a tzaddik. So right away in Gan Eden, in the storehouse of souls, when they send the soul down, they say, wait a second. Even if the whole world's going to say you're a tzaddik, the whole world's going to look at you and say, wow, what a guy. A guy that never sins. You're unbelievable. No. You always be careful. Don't listen to the world that say you're a tzaddik. Don't listen to the world. Don't listen to yourself either. That you think you're a tzaddik. A person should always feel that the essence of evil is still alive and well. Shouldn't fool himself because he's a good guy that he doesn't have the capability of doing bad. Always be on guard. Always be ready to overcome your evil inclination. It's still right because it's right there. So that's what it means. The Mish doesn't mean you should have your eye, you should be a rasha. God forbid, doesn't make you depressed. No, the Mishnah means that you should always be careful and think, my friends, even though I'm not doing anything wrong, I am the holiest guy in the world. I'm far from a tzaddik. Because I have still evil in me. I know the truth. And therefore, The only reason why I'm not doing the evil because I'm in control, and the only reason why I'm in control because God gives me the power to be in control. That's the way the Mishnah says, don't trust yourself to the day you're dead. When you're dead, you can trust yourself. But until then, don't trust yourself. Always be in focus. Always be ready to overcome your inclination. Because your evil inclination has not moved anywhere. My evil inclination has not gone anywhere. It's right there. If I don't change my evil inclination, if I don't transform it, it only gets stronger, whether I do things or not. If I don't make it weaker, it will get stronger. As time goes, it's only going to get stronger. So therefore, a Beinoni, as Alter Rebbe is going to explain, is not only that he has to overcome not doing evil, he has to change it from time. He has to also work on himself. Because if you're not going to work on yourself, if I'm not going to work on myself to change my evil, then does letting it dormant, letting it be by itself, will ultimately get bigger and bigger and bigger. And then when it comes out, I will not be able to change it. On the contrary, with the passage of time, the evil has gained strength because he utilized it. The animal soul considerably. The achila, with eating, because ultimately I'm doing animalistic things. That's the reality. Whether I'm a Beinoni, I'm still eating and sleeping. So therefore, the more I use it out, my animalistic side of me, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. So therefore, imagine such a thing. If one's entire aspiration is to God's Torah, which he studies day and night, l'shma, even for the sake of God. If you see a Jew that's sitting and learning Torah 24/7, doesn't mean that he doesn't have evil. That's why if you learn these couple of chapters of Tanya, we say Halavai Beinoni. I wish I'm a Beinoni. Because nobody knows what's in the heart of man. Only the Eibishter knows, and the person himself knows what's really lurking in the heart of man. Sad thing is, some of these things we see ultimately in the public, we find out later that some people that we think they're so righteous are far from being so righteous. Because nobody knows what's in the heart of man. And therefore, don't think that just because a person is righteous, sitting there and doing everything means he's righteous. He can have an evil heart. He just overcoming his evil heart. And that's an unbelievable thing. As you learn Tanya, maybe it's even greater than Tzaddik, because Tzaddik has finished the battle. While a Beinoni has never finished the battle, he's constantly in the mode of struggle. And that's the beauty, because that's transforming. Struggle and challenges are transforming. Because it could be, even though this person is sitting and learning Torah 24/7, and he's a pasha, so you think everybody thinks he's this holy man walking down the street. But meanwhile, he has a yetzer hara, he has an evil inclination that's as strong as the day he was born. The left side of his hand, but the garments, but the thought, speech, and action of the animalistic soul, it doesn't allow it. He doesn't allow for the animalistic soul to come into thought, speech, and action. And that's it. But is there an animalistic soul there? Is there a capacity and capability of evil? 100%. Why? So why? How does the person have such a power? The only reason, my friend, that I control my mind over matter is because the Eibishter made that we have control mind over heart. That's why I have the capability of mind over heart. We shouldn't think that we on our own can overcome our heart. That's why we realize when you have a person that's an addictive person, for whatever it is, it's very easy to tell him, become good. Stop. Sure. You can say whatever you want. A person that doesn't have mind over heart, it's impossible for him. He can comprehend it. He can understand it himself. You can explain to him. It makes sense to him. It doesn't change. Because to have mind over heart is a gift from the Eibishter. It's a gift. And that we should realize, that's what we should always pray to the Eibishter to give us. We say in our davening, we say, one of the 15 blessings in the morning, the Eibishter gives the Chayin and Hadas. This is a gift of knowledge. It's not just, don't take knowledge for granted. To understand the difference between good and bad, this is a gift from the Eibishter. That's why, from God, and if I say a blessing. Some people are just not gifted. They don't have that gift. To understand the difference and to discern the differences of good and bad and to have control over it, that's a gift. And trust me, we know that because everybody doesn't always have. Halavai, we all have the capability to be a Beinoni and to have mind over heart in everything in life. We don't. So we think the mind is greater than the heart, but it's not true. In real, it is mind over heart, but it's not an easy thing. It's not an easy thing because the heart is very strong. The desires of the heart, your nefesh Bahamis, my animalistic soul is extremely, very powerful. And if God would not help me, I cannot overcome it. I wouldn't be able to overcome it. And because God gives me that power, that's how the mind rules over the small city. So let us not, as they say, condemn the Pharaoh so quickly when it says God hardened his heart. Moshe Rabbeinu could talk to him and he could have seen the situation. Right? He could have seen the situation. Things are not going on intellectually. No. Doesn't make a difference. Moshe Rabbeinu could talk and Aaron could explain and the plagues can happen and the person and the Pharaoh doesn't change. We're the same. We're not so far from the Pharaoh. We're not so difficult, not so distant from the Pharaoh. So that's why Chassidus explains your head is a larger part of your body on top of your shoulders, and then you have your heart, which is part of your wider part of your body. The problem is there's Mitzrayim in between. The Meitzer HaGoren. Suddenly there's a Mitzrayim. There's a constriction between the mind and the heart. What's the constriction? The neck. Anshe Ariv, you're a stiff-necked nation. The neck is the Mitzrayim. So we have the intellect, you have the emotions. In between, you have Mitzrayim, the Pharaoh. Mitzrayim. No, you have Mitzrayim, which is the constriction. Then you have the Pharaoh, is the heart. So we all struggle with that because we think we take it for granted that we're good. We're good, and we should. We are not taking it for granted. We are good, but we take it for granted because we're good. Everything is perfect, and we're ready to go to sleep, and we're ready to just relax. That's why the Pharaoh, if you see all the expressions, it says, he went and relaxed. Just doesn't ignore it, even though he saw it. Pharaoh is not a stupid person. He saw it. He understood it. Just couldn't move his heart towards it. That should only be a garment. It's not that the Eibishter gave. I push need to pray to God every day. And that's why I put in even in the Shemina Das. The Eibishter give me das. I should be able to overcome my sin. You look in the Shemona Esther. First we ask for das. And then we say, forgive me. I don't have das. If I had das, if I had mind over heart, I would never sin. But I don't. And therefore I pray to God, please help me out with my das. Help me out with my mind. Help me out so my mind should overcome my heart. At least my mind should overcome my heart and not let my heart dominate. Forget about changing my heart. Let my heart not dominate. Which is in the garments. I am begging God, and the God helps me that my Yetzer Hara, my heart, should not come into my thought, speech, and action. That's what you say in Adavening. The Eibishter said, okay, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to keep you busy. I'm going to give you Torah mitzvahs. I'm going to give you Torah so you'll be able to learn. I'll give you mitzvahs so you'll be busy doing. Be busy. Mishnah says if a person would be busy in being a yid and working, he would never do a sin. He wouldn't have time. So it would work, and if he's not working, he would learn Torah. He would do mitzvahs. If a person would be busy in Torah mitzvahs and day-to-day work, he would never do a sin. But see me, we always have the time. We have no time for everything, but we have time for our selfish desires. And the whole reason is one reason. Because the essence, the substance of the godly soul, because the godly soul, it might overpower the animalistic soul, but it doesn't have the he's not a balabas on the animalistic soul. The only time he becomes a dominant over the animalistic soul is when he's davening, as I said before. The only time when he's davening, when he's praying, or he's learning, then he has that power. But if not, Balabas is a master. He's not a master. Bal Habas, the master of the house. Bal Habayis, the master of the house. He's not the master of the house. He's just the control, but he's not the master. The other guy is not giving in as the two judges. He's just winning because he has 2 against 1, but he hasn't changed that guy, that second judge, to agree with him. He has no choice. It's 2 against 1, so he has no choice. Only when, as I said, when I said before, when a person's davening, when he's praying, he's in the mode of love, so he knocks out the animalistic soul, he puts him to sleep. And even during those times when the divine soul gains upper hand over the animal soul, it's limited to preponderance and dominion alone, meaning The divine soul succeeds in dominating the animal soul, not in vanquishing it, in the sense of nullifying its essence. So in essence, I will never nullify my animal soul. A Beinoni will never nullify his animal soul. He'll overcome it. But he's always going to have that animal soul. He'll civil as it's written in the Torah when between Jacob and Esau, which is in Chassidus, in Kabbalah, it's the Jacob and Esau is the marshal of a godly soul, animal soul. It says, well, one nation shall prevail over the other nation. Jacob exemplified good, merely prevails over Esau. The evil does not succeed. The evil does not give in, totally vanquish it. Esau is still there. He just prevails over him. Because Shazak comes, Zeh Neifel. Shazak comes, the rabbis say, when one arises and prevails, the other one falls. And when one rises, this one falls. So that's what you're basically falling. You're pushing down your animal soul. And he's waiting for the chance to stand up. The second I give it a chance to stand up, he's there. So that's why I said before, the Dr. Rebbe will say later that a Beinoni needs to also work on vanquishing his animal soul. If not, it's denying the power of the animal soul is not true, and therefore it's ultimately will come to bite me, so to say. Because the mode of the Beinoni is really a mode of shanefesh akis matzametzes umagaberes al nefesh habahamis. Thus, the divine soul gains strength and ascendancy over the animal soul in the source of strength, which is in an understanding. So therefore, in Kabbalah, the description of Sfiris, Bina is a source of Gevura. Chachma is Chesed, and Bina is Gevura. In terms of one divine soul, this means a source of its strength, Gevura, to combat the animal soul is found in the faculty of understanding. The faculty which understands the greatness of God. That's why Alter Rebbe emphasized that for us, that we are trying to be a Beinoni, is so important the way we understand something. It's so important to learn and understand it. Very important to us. Because by us understanding something changes everything. So if I do something just out of, command, that's like chachma. Chachma that says it's wisdom. I'm wisdom, and you nullify yourself to it. That's wisdom. Wisdom says, you never understand me. So just do what I say, because I am chachma. I'm the wisdom. So therefore, nullify yourself to me. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. So from time to time, we can have chachma, and we nullify ourselves to chachma, but it's not really us. We just nullify. We push ourselves aside. Nullifying myself is pushing myself aside, which I need to do that. But ultimately, it's not transforming. Because how many times can I push myself aside? How many times will I nullify myself? Sooner or later, I would say, you know what? I feel like a shmata. It's not me. So you're asking me not to be me. Can't do that. I don't want to do that. So that's why for a Beinoni is the importance, the concept of his understanding. He has to nullify himself because he has to gain wisdom. But then it's important to understand. Because when I understand, that's when I can transform my nefesh habahamis. That's where the gevura comes in. That because my nefesh habahamis is gevura, strength, and he understands strength. Not strength of overpowering, but strength of understanding. That's why you have the Aaron and Moshe. Aaron, Moshe Rabbeinu is Chachma. He just says it. You understand what I'm talking about? You don't understand what I'm talking about? I don't care. Aaron is the one who explains it to the Pharaoh. Aaron was the one who explained it. Moshe Rabbeinu said, I don't care. I don't need to explain to the Pharaoh. I'm the wisdom. I'm telling the Pharaoh, this is the facts of life. You understand? You don't understand? This is what's going to happen. Aaron came to the Pharaoh and said, let me explain to you what's going to happen. I want you to understand what's going to happen. That's what it says in 3 weeks of warning. They explained it. Aaron explained it. This is what's going to happen. Then in detail, I'll tell you what's going to happen. Understand what's going to happen. So, even though what happened because Moshe Rabbeinu said this is what's going to happen, that's what happened. You see, when the Eibishter gave the Jews the Torah, he just gave boom. Vayera Hashem, God came down the mountain and revealed himself. Wisdom. But they didn't understand what's going on. Total overpowering of everybody. What happened 40 days later? They made a golden calf. Went the total opposite of what God said. Because you need to have understanding. You need to have self-development, because understanding is self-development. And that's what the Nefesh Bahamis ultimately understands. That my Nefesh Bahamis is me. That's what I ultimately understand, is the things that I understand. Or I think I understand, whatever. I think I understand. It's important because what I understand might not be real. But it's important what I think I understand. At this present time. Right? In a year from now, I'll realize what I understood was not totally the right understanding. Actually, it's a deeper understanding. That's why understanding never ends. Because we can continue to go deeper in understanding, become mature. Our brain becomes refined more and more and more, and understands it deeper and changes its understanding, etc. But it's very important, the concept of understanding. Because when I am born in Megdulas Hashem, when I just don't have this faith, but I am born, right? Faith is wisdom. It's not just accept. No, I'm born. I contemplate in the greatness of God. To ponder on the greatness of God and thereby giving birth, creating an Ava to the Eibishter. That's where the person is and is in understanding. The more he understands, the more he creates of Ava to the Eibishter. That's the opposite of the Ava to the world. Creates an Ava to God. And not a fear to the world, but a fear to God. Then you have transformed it. That's transformation. And even that transformation is not that. And then I've subjugated it. I put it under the domination, the shlita of the godly soul. Then I've subjugated. You have two words over here: hiskafia and hishapcha. So hiskafia is subjugation, where I become a leader over the other entity. The other entity gives himself over to my leadership. That's hiskafia. Hishapcha is transformation. Many of us never reach up to the level of transformation. That means that an animalistic soul becomes a godly soul. That's a tzaddik. Our obligation is a hiskafia, not to push away an animalistic soul, not to ignore it, because as the Alter Rebbe says, the more I ignore it, the more it's going to come back. It'll get stronger only, ignoring my animalistic soul. I need to harness it. That's a hiskafia. I need to harness it. I need to explain my animalistic soul that Take your powers of all the desires and let's do something good with it. So I'm not denying who you are. I want to use who you are. I just want to use it for good. I want to use it for God. And that's iskafia, but he translated as subjugation, which I say means also the concept of harnessing it, becoming the leader, and let the animalistic soul become the follower. And that it's a follower, he should realize actually he's gaining out of being a follower. He doesn't need to be the leader. But the Beni has to realize, even though he subjugated his animalistic soul, he did not abolish it. But tzaddik, only the one who can do that, transforming your animalistic soul, is only a tzaddik. Shenema by a tzaddik, it says, Libi cholo b'kirvi, my heart is void within me. The abode of my heart, usually occupied by my evil inclination, is void in the heart of a tzaddik. And this is not the book of tzaddikim. This is the book of the Beinoni, which is the book of most Jews, 99.9%, that they shall avai Beinoni, that we would all wish that we would be a Beinoni, not a Rasha v'toivloi, not a wicked man that has good with him, or chas sholom a Rasha v'naloi, a wicked man that has bad, but we can reach up to the level of a Beinoni, that we can subjugate our animalistic soul. We can surely not listen to it. That's number one, not listen to it, but ultimately subjugate it. So that's why even Moses, going back to the analogy of the Pharaoh, Moses says, not God's going to take the Jews out of Egypt. You're going to send them out of Egypt. You are going to realize the truth. God can take the Jews out of Egypt without you. No. The Eibishter wants, God wants that you should come down and say, take the Jews, let the Jews go out of Egypt. You should send the Jews out of Egypt. Not only should you send the Jews out of Egypt, you should send them out with great glory. That's subjugation. I don't want the Pharaoh to become a Jew. It's not his job. Pharaoh will always stay a Pharaoh, but I want you to help. God could have taken the Jews out of Egypt without the Pharaoh, put the Pharaoh to sleep for a day and the whole Egypt to sleep for a day, and let the Jews march out of Egypt. That's what God could have done. I mean, how many tricks he has under his belt. He could have done a lot of things. He put the Egypt in darkness for a week. They couldn't move. So why didn't the Jews move, just march out of Egypt? The whole Egypt was frozen in one place. So they could have just marched out. That's not what the Eibishter wants. The Eibishter wanted the Pharaoh should come and tell Moshe Rabbeinu, please take the Jews out of Egypt. God, as the Pharaoh will say later, you'll Moshe come to, he says, God is the right one. I'm sorry. Chatasi, I've sinned. That's what the Eibishter wants. That's what the Eibishter wants from us too. Not that we should just diminish our animalistic soul. The Eibishter wants that the animalistic soul should say, I want to help you. I'm not going anywhere, but I'm going to use my talents to help you. And that's the avoid of a Beinoni. Not to get rid of the Pharaoh, his own Pharaoh, but to make the Pharaoh come forward and help him. Because only a tzaddik that has vanquished his animalistic soul, who moyes berah, a tzaddik despises and loathes evil, but tackles us in it with a consummated hatred of evil. Or if he's not a complete tzaddik, so he doesn't hate it with the ultimate aspect of hate, he still has a little bit of love of evil, but far from a Beinoni. Of a Beinoni who derech mashal ka'adam hayoshen, all above applies to a tzaddik, but a Beinoni, the evil Mary lies doormat. That's it. When I'm in such love of God, it's doormat, it's sleeping. With a sleeping man, for example, who can awaken from his sleep. So to a bain, if a person can put it to sleep, he's only putting it to sleep. How long is he going to sleep? As we see, he only can sleep, put to sleep when he's davening. Then maybe then by the bainini, his heart is burning with the love of God. He can put his animalistic soul. But what happens if he daven? You're not davening a whole day. A baini doesn't daven a whole day. The second he finishes davening, the animalistic soul can wake it up again. Now we're going back to the beginning of Tanya. And therefore Rabbah said, Rabbah was a great tzaddik. But in his eyes, he says, maybe not. How do I know? Maybe my Yetzer Hara is not out of me. Maybe my Yetzer Hara is those doormats. That's what Rabbah said, I'm a bain. Even though Rabbah was a great sage who never stopped to learn. And his desire of life was always to serve God. With a craving and desire and longing. And his soul yearning for God. So it could be, Rabbah felt that he was in a whole day mode of like a baini is in the time of Krishma, in the time of davening. So Rabbah felt, you know what? Thus, like a middleman is in the time of davening, the 45 minutes, hour, 2 hours when he's davening. He's in total focus of God. I'm 24/7 that way. I'm 24/7. So I'm in 24/7 mode of prayer and learning. I have no time to think about anything else. Nidba be'enav, even Rabbah. Rabbah didn't lie. We're not saying a lie, I'm a Beinani. Rabbah really thought that way, that he was a Beinani. Because he didn't think that he got rid of his Yetzer Hara. He just thought his Yetzer Hara was 24/7, 365 days asleep. Like a middleman who would imagine a middleman who prayed the whole day. And that's why the Gemara says, the Gemara says, Halavai, sheyispalel adam kol hayom kolo. Halavai, what would be if man would pray all day long? Halavai. It would be a machaya if we would pray all day long. We would never come to any distractions because we totally focus, but we don't. Because we have jobs and we have family and we have businesses and we have bills and we have other issues. But you can imagine a Baini would pray all day long. Now this affirmation love attained by a Baini, in the time of prayer with a Baini affects the sleeping of the animalistic soul. Through the preponderance, to the strength of the godly soul. In comparison to a tzaddik, a tzaddik who serves God in truth. So to a tzaddik, this is not real. This is not real. To a tzaddik, if something changes, it's not real. Tzaddik never changes because he's transformed his evil. So he never changes. That's why you understand when the others were called Yesharim, they were very flat, very simple, flat life. They had no change in life, in the service of God. They had struggles, outer struggles, but not in the service of God. It was always the same. That's why you understand when you say Bayakir, he says, Ishtam, he was a simple man. When it came to God, everything was simple. He had no struggles with the Eibishter. He had no struggles with God. He had no struggles with the purpose of his life. He had a lot of issues, outer issues, family issues, and stuff. Had nothing to do with him. Had nothing to do with him. It had to do with what he had to deal with the world. Had nothing to do with him as a yid. A tzaddik is above the world. He's in the world, but at the same time, he's totally above the world. And to him, a person that's a Beinoni that has fluctuation in his connection to God, when he prays, he's in a certain mode. When he leaves prayer, he's in another mode. To a tzaddik, that's not real. To a tzaddik, that's not real. To a Beinoni, it's real. And as the Alter Rebbe will say, even though it's not real, it's real to you. And we'll explain that means that there's a concept of real of God, and then there's a real to every person, as the Alter Rebbe is going to explain later. So the tzaddik looks at a Beinoni as a fake, as not a real concept, because to a tzaddik, the world is very simple. His relationship to the world is simple. His relationship to God is simple. Very, what I would call you very boring. And to a Beinoni, it's constantly fluctuating. It's a roller coaster. His life is on a roller coaster. There are good times, there are bad times, there are emotional times. He's a very emotionally kind of guy. Uksiv, as it says, Sfas Emes Tikalad. It's written, the language, the lip of truth shall be established forever. But the tongue of falsehood is only momentarily. Thus, the term truth refers to something that's immutable. So the tzaddik, he's never mutable. He's always flat line, straight line. Yosha. As I said before, the patriarchs are called Yosha. They were straight lined people. They had a job, they had a mission, they did their mission. So the temporary and passing are not considered true. Same applies here as well. Since the Beinoni love of God is felt only during prayer and disappears afterward, it does not measure up to the truest sense of truth. The perfect truth attained by a tzaddik. So now you understand that being a tzaddik and a Beinoni, it's not like a connection. It's not like, oh, this the next step. You're a Beinoni, and we take the next step. There's no next step. There's so far distance from one another that you just don't come. You don't go. You don't. It's not like a 12-step system. You go from a Rosh Raleigh to a Rosh V'Tovlei, from a Rosh V'Tovlei to a Beinoni, from a Beinoni to a tzaddik. It doesn't work that way. Because between a Beinoni and a tzaddik, then the worlds apart. So it's not the next step. Because Beinoni's truth and a tzaddik's truth is far away from one another. But the Alter Rebbe is worried. We're going to come now. We're going to say, "Oy vey," when maybe we're not truthful, so we're not true. We're all a bunch of fakers. So the Alter Rebbe says, "V'af became legabe madreges habeinim." Nevertheless, in the relation to the rank of a Beinoni, this level of love, nikra avatama be'emes la'amite shalahem, is truly perfect service in terms of their level of truth, the level of a Beinoni. And that's what's important. You and I have our emes. The expression, emes me eretz titzma. Truth will come from the earth. Even though truth comes from heaven, but truth will come from the earth. Passing in Tillim. Emes meretz, because the Eibush is truth, emes la'amita, that's what we call emes, the truth of truth. And then there's each and every one of our truths. Because the Eibush made every person different. God doesn't want you to be somebody else. God wants you to be yourself, your truth. Just don't fake yourself. Don't fool yourself. Don't lie to yourself. Be truthful to who you are. I formed you with a certain truth. Be honest to yourself. Is my truth your truth? No, that's how we have a general truth, and that's a Torah. That's our general truth. Now, how do I connect my truth to that truth? Will I ever reach up to the essence of truth? No, because the Torah's God's truth is, I'll never understand the truth of truths. But that's not my obligation. My obligation is to be honest and take my truth and connect it to the truth. And if I want to fake, that's why I can fake myself. That's my choice. I can make up my own truths just to make me happy. Then I'm not being truthful to myself. So really, the Tanya, and as you're going to learn Tanya, you're going to realize that the Alter Rebbe, this is very important, the concept of understanding yourself, knowing who you are at this present time, not lying to yourself at this present time. It might be different tomorrow, but right now, who am I today? Right now. And what would be the best way to live truth right now? I might realize tomorrow that yesterday's truth was not totally true. I fooled myself a little bit. I lied to myself. So I'm going to work on it to become more truthful. And that's why the Rebbe would always say a living person is constantly growing. So not that yesterday, because the truth grows. My truth continues to develop because my truth is based on my understanding. So my understanding develops. I understand things today, different than I understood yesterday, hopefully. And I understand things tomorrow a little bit different. And Baruch Hashem, that's growth. That's humanity. That's who a human being is. So a tzaddik has no growth. There's nothing to grow in this world. He's completed. That's why the Rebbe says the difference between a chacham and a talmud chacham. A chacham is a person that acquired wisdom. Then there's a talmud chacham, a student of chachma. We are all in the talmud chacham, the student of wisdom. We haven't reached wisdom. We're students of wisdom. We're still in progress. We're development and progress. We're all in the mode of getting better, hopefully. So what is my truth today? Each person understanding the character of a Beinoni, as mentioned earlier, the rank of Beinoni is subdivided in many levels. So when a Beinoni says, I love God, is the truth to what he is, as long as he says it truthfully. Is the truth. So the tzaddik says, I don't think it's true. But the Beinoni says, to me, it's true. And I am not to serve God through you. I'm to serve God through me. And to me, right now, as long as it's truthful, to me, right now, this is the truth. As long as it's honest. Since the divine soul has the power to awaken this love constantly, when it gathers strength during prayer day after day. By means of the spiritual preparation appropriate to each soul quality and rank. The higher level of the soul, the less preparation is required to awaken the love of God. Regardless, every soul has the capacity to arouse its love of God during prayer. Every person has his capacity. Every person has his understanding. So I understand God in a certain way, you understand God in a different way, etc. Each person understands, his understanding is different. And the truth is, we all need to work on our understanding. So the Beinoni's love of God is thus constant, since it is either in an active, revealed state or in a potential and can be revealed at any moment through the day, as mentioned earlier, Every Bain has the potential to attain the level of praying a whole day long. One difficult yet remains. How is it possible the same level of service be considered untrue by the standard tzaddikim and true regarding Bain? Is truth not obsolete? So the Rebbe is still bothered. How you have two truths? The Rebbe says, explaining the quality of truth is to be found on every level. In each, truth means the essence and the core of that level. Meaning, truth is defined as that which agrees with the essence of that particular level where it's measured. Truth is emes. In Hebrew, it's aleph mem saf. Emes, truth has to go from the top, from the first letter to the last. That's what truth is. So truth has to come down at every single level. Since this is so, in all myriads of levels in spiritual worlds, from the very highest to the very lowest, and since the lowest levels are incomparable to the highest, how can it be said that the lower grades possess truth? We must say, therefore, that the term truth is relative to the level in which it's found. And each grade has its own core of truth. As I said before, emes me'eretz titzmach. Truth will come from the earth. Things that are true, if they agree with the essence of their own level, and untrue if they do not. They need not to agree with the higher level to be considered true. This is important. So the truth to a 5-year-old is not the truth to a 50-year-old. It's surely not the truth to a 20-year-old. It's not the truth to a 30-year-old, and it's surely not the truth to a 60-year-old. Because a 5-year-old is at the level of a 5-year-old. You don't expect a 5-year-old to have the understanding of truth like a 70-year-old. So you don't say the 5-year-old doesn't have the truth. He has his level of truth. Again, as long as you're truthful in the level that you're in. It means you know who you are. You know what you're capable at this present time. And you're honest with yourself. And truthful. This was one of the things that the Alter Rebbe demanded in Tanya and Bechsidim in general, to have the truth. Not somebody else's truth. Their own truth. What is their truth? Be honest. Midas emes, for the attribute of Midas Yaakov, it says the attribute of truth is the attribute of Jacob. Hanikra b'riach, which is called the middle bolt, which secures everything from end to end. So you have even in Kabbalah, you have Chochma Bina Das is the middle. Chesed Gevura Teferes is the middle. Netzach Chayid Yisaid is the middle. So Chesed is Avram, Gevura is Yitzchak, and the middle is Teferes Yaakov. So the Bria Chatichan, the middle rung. The Bria Chatichan actually comes from the tabernacle. So the tabernacle was put together with boards, and they had connections on top and connections on the bottom, connections on the outside with a bar, and then they had this middle bar that went from one side of the tabernacle all around to the other, like a U. This Bria Chatichan, this middle bar that kept the whole thing together. The middle bar. Right? So you have chesed on the right, and then the middle bar. Something that unites it all. Something, that's why it's called Teferes, beauty. Beauty has a lot of colors. So that's the beauty of emes. Emes doesn't have to be black and white. Always. Emes can handle many colors. Emes can be found in each and every darga, in every level, each and every level. And therefore you can have the emes of a great sage and the emes of a 5-year-old child. And self-understood, it's a whole different level of truth. Imagine that the great sage would diminish the value of the 5-year-old child. You're stupid. Stupid. That would be terrible. Rashi, that we learn every day, says, I came to teach a 5-year-old child. Rashi, who wrote his commentary on the whole Chumash, is a great sage. You can see from Rashi, he knows the whole Tanakh, he knows the whole Gemara, he brings down everything for the whole Torah on a verse. Says, I'm teaching a 5-year-old child. I want that the 5-year-old child opens up the Torah to understand it, and I'm going to teach him. Not teaching the great sages, teaching a 5-year-old child. I want the 5-year-old child to open the Chumash and find the truth. So I've understood. I know it much deeper. I know it in Rashi. I know the whole Torah. I know the understanding of the Chumash in much deeper ways, and I self-understood. I have it in a much deeper, mature situation. But I'm going to teach it to a 5-year-old child. That's the greatness of Rashi. That Rashi at a stage of when he wrote the commentary on Chumash was a great sage, and he says, I'm writing it for a 5-year-old child. Because the truth is the truth to a 5-year-old, and the truth to Rashi, who was a great sage. Self-understood, these two levels were far from one another of truth. Rashi was hoping that if he gave the child a truth, he'll ultimately come and learn Gemara, he'll ultimately come and go develop his truth, he'll go higher and higher, deeper and deeper in his truth. From the highest graded level to the end of and each level, it passes through the central point, that particular level. Which is then becomes the point and the quality and the standard of the level of the attribute of truth. And that's why don't deny the child the truth. Tell him in a simple way the truth. You shouldn't be afraid of saying the truth to every person in their capacity. So explain God to a child. I'm going to explain God to a child, to a 5-year-old. I'm going to explain to him God in his level. And we continue learning that Rashi every day to learn the truth like a 5-year-old child. Because actually there's some more truth in the learning of a 5-year-old child than an adult. Because a child takes the truth in a very simple way. Well, we became very sophisticated. And therefore, we should also learn the truth in a very simple way. Like a 5-year-old child. Because it's the truth. Because Rashi didn't diminish the truth. He didn't hide the truth. He said the truth of the verse to a 5-year-old child. That's it. He just explained it to a 5-year-old child, the truth. The attribute of truth is an unbounded inheritance. And there's no upper limit as it extends to the highest level. And the lower gradation levels are nothing compared to the spirit of them. So therefore, as I said, it's simple as that. He's a 5-year-old child. His truth. Hopefully he's going to develop that truth. It's going to become bigger daiga, or become a bigger level of truth as he gets older and learns more deep in the verse. If then the truth is found in all levels, despite the disparity, we must conclude that the standard of truth on each level is relative to the core of that level. as long as it's truth. That's the trick. As long as it is the truth. As long as you're not trying to diminish the truth. You're not trying to hide the truth, diminish the truth, break the truth. That's why it says in the Mishnah, that's what we say in the Mishnah, it says, you should be like the students of Aaron who love peace, run after peace. Loves humanity, bring them to the truth. Bring them to the truth. Don't diminish the truth. You might say, well, you know what? I'll diminish the truth so people will be able to learn better. I'll diminish the truth. I'll change the truth. I'm uncomfortable. Since I think people are uncomfortable with the truth, I'll change the truth. No. That's not the way to do things. Figure out a way how to take the truth and bring the people to the truth. Bring them, make them feel comfortable with this truth. Never diminish the truth. But you self-understood. You can say the truth to one person one way, and you have to say the truth to another person differently. But don't change the truth. Just got to say it differently. You're not going to say the truth to a 5-year-old kid. How's you going to say it to an intellectual person, to a 50-year-old man? That's a problem. You see, by us, we try to take the Torah and fit it to the world. We have to take the world and fit it to the Torah because the Torah is the truth. So you don't take the Torah and try to fit it to a false, because then you're making the Torah false. You need to take the world and try to figure out a way. How do you fit it to the truth? That's what we need to do. But we do the other way. No, the world is true. Now we have this Torah. How do you put it into this world? Doesn't fit. Something doesn't fit. That just doesn't go together. So therefore, I have to diminish the Torah. Oh, he didn't mean it. It's for a different generation. Whatever. It's not the truth. We come up with compromises that we have changed now the Torah. Now the Torah has changed to fit my world. My little false world. I take the truth and try to put it into a false world. No, I got to take the first world and put it into the Torah. How do I make the world truthful? And that's what you need to educate yourself. Don't become false, or don't make the Torah false. Be truthful. The Torah is true. I know who I am. And now how do we connect the two together at this present time? I'm not going to diminish Torah. I'm going to try to come closer to the truth. It's good stuff over here, my friend. But we're learning really for an hour and a half. So this is like we're over exerted our time. It's like a full class over here. So with a long time. As it's known to students of Kabbalah. I mean, the truth is, this is something you need to learn a couple of times, because this is something we struggle. We struggle with the truth. All of us struggle with the truth. And because we know what's true, or we read what's true, and then we struggle with that. How do we put it into our little truth? How do we put it to? So you might just say, oh, I'm telling you, I'm being honest, I'm being truthful. But the question is, are you being honest? Are you being truthful or not? Can you do it? Nobody can know that besides myself or besides you who's saying it. As known by the students of Kabbalah, the quality that is the head and intellect, highest level, within the lower grades is inferior to the soul and feet in every lowest level within the higher grade. As the sages said, the feet of the chayes surpass all those levels lower than them, including the highest degree within those lowest levels. So what's lower is higher than what's higher, to the lowest level, to what's lower than it. So the attribute of truth then is measured according to the standard of each level. We must thus conclude that the divine service of a Beinoni is considered true. So don't think that you're right, you're not a tzaddik, and you'll maybe never be a tzaddik. But if my service is to be a Beinoni, and I am going to be who I am, then to me it's true, and it is true. Because again, I'm not the minister of truth. I just basically came closer to the truth. I'm elevating myself to become closer to the truth. And that's a true Avodah. That's a true service, to become closer and closer in our journey to the concept of truth. Thus, we may conclude that divine service of Beinoni is considered true service relative to their level. Although when compared with the service of tzaddik, it's not considered true, since it passes after prayer. But it doesn't make a difference right now when I'm praying. It is true, then it is a true Avodah to me. Okay, my friends, what a long day. Who is Rabbah? Rabbah is Rabbah. Rabbah, the Alter Rebbe said in the beginning, the first chapter of Tanya, that Rabbah, when he wanted to do a show and tell, he says to his students, you want to know who a Beinoni is? Like me. I'm a Beinoni. I'm a middleman. And Abaya said to him, if you're a Beinoni, then we're all wicked. So how can you say you're a Beinoni? And the Alter Rebbe was worried, was unhappy with Rabbah saying that he lied. Would Rabbah lie that he's a Beinoni when everybody knew that he was a righteous man? He was a great tzaddik. That even the Gemara says that the Malach HaMavet, the angel of death, could not put him to death because he never stopped saying words of Torah his whole life. But Rabbah, in essence, said, I'm a Beinoni because he didn't know that he didn't have Yetzer Hara. He thought maybe his Yetzer Hara is in the coma. And that's why Abaya was Rabbah's student. Rabbah and Abaya, you find in the Gemara many, many times. Abaya and Rabbah, they were Rabbah's student. Okay, my friends, it's been a long day. I wish you all a wonderful, beautiful day. Today, the Tillim of the day is after half of chapter 119. Half of chapter 119, from the beginning to the letter Mem. The ending of the letter Mem. Chapter 119 has every letter of the alphabet 8 times. You say from the beginning of chapter 119 to the middle of the chapter, and tomorrow we say the other end of the chapter. So that completes you will say the Tillim of the day. I wish you all a beautiful, wonderful, happy, healthy, gorgeous day. And Halavai Beinoni, be a Beinoni. The main thing is be truthful. I wish you all a great day. See you tomorrow at 8 a.m. as we continue the Chitas of the day.